Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on this beautiful day. An eventful day in the city of Mesa. This is very exciting. It was a big day when this post office was opened for the first time in Mesa, and I think its significance continues today as we start a new chapter in this wonderful building in downtown Mesa. We have a few speakers that we're going to hear from today. I'll introduce all the speakers, and then we'll want to recognize several people that are here, have joined us today. One of our list of speakers begins. We'll introduce the mayor of Mesa. John Giles is here. We'll also be hearing from Jen Duff, who represents downtown Mesa. Jen, thank you. And we also want to give a special welcome to Vic Linoff, president of the Mesa Preservation Foundation. Big reason why we're here today. And the very talented architect who helped bring this hope to life and the vision, Robert Wadzek is here from GH2 Architects. And especially today, we are very excited. This feels very complete. We have with us family members from the postmaster who served here, and we'll be hearing from them. We'll be hearing from, I think these are all granddaughters, is that right? From Becky Russell, Kathy Allen, and Jen Christensen, the granddaughters of Grant McDonald, who was the postmaster of this building for some time. And we also she won't be speaking to us, but we're really excited to have Helen Christensen here, a daughter of Grant McDonald. So thanks for being here. From our city council, we want to recognize Councilmember Mark Freeman, Councilmember Julie Spilsbury, and Councilmember Alicia Goforth, as well as Francisco Herrera. Let's give them a round of applause. And I still have Dennis Kavanaugh's voice in the back of my head about getting this project done. So let's recognize Dennis, former council member from Mesa. I'm glad I can at least get some of the things accomplished that he asked me to do. So we also want to, I don't know if they're here with us, but maybe they are. If State Representatives Lorena Austin and Seth Blattman, are they here? They raise their hand? I don't see them right now. Okay, anyway. Again, we recognize Robert, but the entire team from GH2 Architects for Project, please raise your hand. Are they here? Oh, perfect, right back here. You will see when we go inside the great work that they've been able to do. This is a project that takes many hands and a lot of talented people to make it happen. We're especially thankful for Andrea Moore, the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities, and her staff. Let's give them a round of applause. With all that staff, Andrea, and raise your hands, everybody from Parks, Community Facilities. Where's the staff that's going to be keeping this place open and making sure everybody's happy when they come? Raise your hands. So, those are the staff, thank you. We also want to recognize Beth Huning in the City Engineering Department. They're the ones that oversee these projects and make sure they get completed. They can do everything from a big old wastewater pipe you bury in the ground to a jewel like this. So Beth, where are you? Raise your hand, and all her staff. Thank you for being here. And we probably, why did we build this? Well, we were trying to get Jeff McVeigh out of City Hall. So we found a place for him over here. So Jeff and his team, the Downtown Transformation team, raise your hand. All right, thanks for being here. We also want to welcome members of the Mesa Historic Preservation Board. Are they here? Can you raise your hands? Okay. Oh, there we go. We got you over here. Do we have anybody from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board? Raise your hands. Not today. We've kind of wore them out last week. Yeah. We had a lot of ribbon cuttings at Parks. How about the Foundation, the Arizona Museum of Natural History? Are you all here? Okay. There's Simon and Dennis. The Idea Museum, do we have staff and board members from the Idea Museum? Wonderful. How about the Mesa Historical Museum, board and staff? Do we have any folks from there? Okay, here we go. And of course, the Mesa Preservation Foundation. We appreciate their involvement. And we've this location is amazing. It's right in a few days, maybe tomorrow, Nancy. This is going to get blocked off, and it's tomorrow and Saturday. This place is going to smell amazing. It's going to be a big barbecue cook-off here. But we want to recognize from the Downtown Mesa Association and Nancy Orman, along with her staff. Raise your hands, and board members, thank you for being here. So again, this is when I say a long-awaited day, it's been a long time getting this project where we are today. But we're so excited to be celebrating the opening of the Post as a dynamic community space. As you know, and you'll hear more about this today, the Post, known as the Post Office of the Federal Building, was Mesa's first-class post office, built in 1936 and dedicated in 1937. Has a very interesting history that we'll learn more about today. Some unique architectural features, and it does look kind of plain. You know, they were coming out of the recession. There wasn't a lot of effort to make it look too fancy. But what I'm really excited for you to see is you go inside, as we've peeled back the layers and we've opened up the facility, there's a real story there. And so we're excited to share that story with you today. So with that, let me have Robert come forward from GH2 Architects and talk a little bit about the unique features of this project and renovation. Robert, come on up.
Thank you, Chris. As Chris mentioned, this is a very unique project for the city and for our firm. Any construction project is going to have its challenges. Breathing life into what was once a post office turned federal building towards storage building, and creating a really first-class multi-use space has its challenges. We put restrooms where restrooms were never meant to be. We put mechanical systems into a building that didn't have any to start. We peeled back layers and layers of wall that was never supposed to be peeled back. Found lots of surprises. Some terrible we won't get into, but some great ones, including such as the dental header above the original entrance that was preserved and brought back to life by our team. You'll see the reuse of the original flooring in different ways than flooring, because there just wasn't enough of it to salvage. But Mesa had a great vision. Our team, very fortunate to get to work on this. I'll thank Mesa's team. Chris has been great to work with, Mayor Giles, Curtis Crossman with engineering as the PM, Foresight Construction as construction manager on a challenging project. And as mentioned, I'm the one that gets to talk for GH2, but I'm definitely not the only one that worked on this project. And I'm here because of our team, and here because of our consultant team, ESD Engineering, PK Structural Engineering, and Wood Patel Civil Engineering deserve a lot of credit for what you see here. So thank you very much.
Robert. Yeah, he's pretty modest. It was always exciting to come here and walk through this building with Robert. He goes, "You know what I found today?" And we're like, "Oh no." But we dealt with it and made it work. All right. Sometimes in life, there's people that are around you that are always trying to, they kind of, you like them, but they kind of like bug you a lot, and they're kind of like, come on, you can do better, think long term. And you're like, I've got so many problems right now. I can't look that far down the road. I can't imagine success and what might happen. But Vic, in his own special way, has been on top of us, and I'm sure the mayor will talk about times he's had it. But every community and every old building needs a Vic Linoff in their life, right? Because that's what makes us better. What makes us dig down and say, you know what? And it took me a while. right? When I walked through this building the first few times when I got here, I'm like, how fast can we like demo this thing, right? Because it's like a prime corner. We could do some amazing things, but it took a while. Vic and Ron Peters, after a while, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a story here. And there's not just an opportunity on the city's side, but as Vic would put it, it's kind of our responsibility. And I think that's what he's taught me, is as stewards of the public facilities, we had a responsibility to do the best we could to bring this building back to the community. So let me introduce the president of the Mesa Preservation Foundation, Vic Linoff. Vic.
Thank you very much, Chris. I would actually give you a financial reward, but that might be considered inappropriate considering our relationship in the city. So, just saying. Well, good morning. It's a thrill to be here today. But first, I'd like to dispel a disturbing rumor that's been going around, despite the word that people seem to hear. I want to make it perfectly clear that I was not at the first dedication of this building in 1937, but I am delighted to be here today. It wasn't that long ago, well actually it was, from the time that Mesa got its first post office in 1881 to 1914, that residents and businesses had to go into town to collect their mail at the local postal station. That was a contract operation with P.O. boxes, and it was located in local businesses like Everybody's Drugs, which is right here on the corner. But in May 1914, the Arizona Republican newspaper declared free mail delivery assured for Mesa. That came after the town achieved 2 required milestones set down by the Postmaster General. First, the community of 1,200 had to report at least $10,000, about $300,000 today, in gross annual postal receipts. In that year, Mesa achieved $10,620. Second, Mesa had to assure business and home addresses were on each property in the town's square mile, and install street signs where mail was to be delivered and picked up at least once a day, 7 days a week, when a letter cost 2 cents to mail. It continued that way for the next 16 years. Mesa's population more than doubled to 3,700, and that prompted the community to initiate an effort to start a process of securing a coveted federal post office for our community. In 1933, according to research done by Mesa Preservation Foundation board member and former historic preservation officer Greg Merrick, the Treasury Department designated $90,000, about $1.5 million today, for the purchase of land and construction of a postal building and landscaping. As we know, government often moves at a pace slower than watching paint dry. Finally, in 1935, we learned that $85,000 was designated for a federal post office in Mesa. The site selected is where we're standing today. Greg Merrick tells us this property was owned by Dr. A.J. Chandler of the One South, but a disagreement arose over the price offered for the land by the Treasury Department. So the Secretary of the Treasury used a special federal statute to file a declaration of taking, and it fixed its value at $5,500, about $118,000 today. In March 1936, a federal judge in Phoenix ordered Dr. Chandler to surrender possession of the property to the Treasury Department, thus becoming the first use of eminent domain in the city of Mesa. Construction began in November 1936. David Dean, who wrote the nomination for the building's listing on Mesa's local historic property register, said the building was originally designated as a small single-purpose post office based upon the size of the community and annual postal receipts. Because Mesa was just a small agricultural town, the architectural plans were essentially taken from a regimented set of what was called cabinet sketches that provided for standardized postal interiors while offering some flexibility on exterior design. The dedication was scheduled for May 28, 1937, and although it rarely happened for small post offices, community leaders were able to secure something very special for the grand opening. Learning that the U.S. Postmaster General James Farley would be in L.A. at the end of May, Francis Pomeroy, who was Mesa's postmaster at the time, was able to pull strings all the way up to President Franklin Roosevelt and secure Farley's attendance on this site at the dedication of the Valley's second federal post office. Jumping ahead to 1960, while serving Mesa's postal needs, the building was upgraded to a second functional category, small combined post office and federal building, hence the later name. A two-story addition was then appended to the south side. For more than a half a century, this building was the postal hub of Mesa, but by the 1980s, the modest post office had far surpassed its ability to serve this burgeoning community. When the new expanded post office opened on Center and First Street in June of 1970, this building was converted into offices for federal departments like the National Park Service. But by the turn of the century, this venerable old structure outlasted even that usefulness. So on October 26, 2001, the General Services Administration declared the federal building as surplus property, thereby setting its future into a state of uncertainty. Former Vice Mayor Dennis Kavanaugh remembers there initially was just one proposal at that time for its future ownership and use. A Massachusetts nonprofit organization would convert the building into a single residence occupancy hotel, better known in those days, as Dennis describes it, as a flophouse. That's when Dennis used all of his skills to persuade a somewhat reluctant consul to make a more appropriate submittal for the building's use. Thankfully, the city prevailed. After much discussion and debate, on October 4th, 2002, the GSA transferred ownership to the city with the proviso that future uses be identified solely for community and museum purposes. The original vision was to relocate the Mesa Historical Museum from Lehigh to the building, but for a variety of reasons that was never accomplished. Meanwhile, the Arizona Museum of Natural History began using the basement for storage for its ever-increasing collection. More years went by. The building essentially sat unused until today. In 2018, when voters authorized a $7.4 million bond to restore the old post office and rehabilitate it into a community asset, Diane Dwyer Seberg wrote in a memo to the City Council, the objective of the project is to renovate the historic post office to serve as a venue for community-type events such as workshops, fitness classes, meetings, receptions, etc. COVID-19, other delays caused more time to elapse, but now, after 86 years since Mesa first celebrated what this building meant to the community, we're here for a return event that we expect to continue its legacy of providing stalwart service to Mesa for at least another 86 years. And yet, this is not quite the end either. I'm sure others will reveal what is planned for the space behind the building and announce the return of historic neon to the downtown. But for now, it is in the spirit of its impressive past that we're here to delightedly rededicate this wonderful structure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vic. That was very helpful. All right. We are next very pleased to have this opportunity. We're going to have the daughters we mentioned that Helen is here, the daughter of Postmaster McDonald, who served, so she's here with us, but we're going to have 3 of the granddaughters speak to us in this order: Becky, Russell, Kathy, Allen, and Jen Christensen. And Becky, Kathy, and Jen, I realize we actually have a common connection. My grandfather was a postmaster also. So that's kind of fun. All right, come on up.
Good morning. We are 3 of the grandchildren of Owen Grant McDonald. As was mentioned, Kathy Allen, Jen Christensen, and I'm Becky Russell. We are also joined by another grandson who's here, and several great-grandchildren and a great-great-grandchild. Grant was born here in Mesa in 1903 and spent his whole life here. He graduated from Mesa High School in 1921 and was part of the largest graduating class to date, with 54 students. He saw tremendous growth and changes here in Mesa between 1903 and when he passed in 2003. Grant came from a family of 11 children. He had 5 brothers and 5 sisters. He learned the value of hard work from an early age and was assigned the chore of milking the family cows at the age of 7. And he chose to stay here in Mesa and raise his family here. He was the wonderful husband of Mabel Adams McDonald and a great father to his 3 daughters, Hazel Dawn, Helen, and Catherine. Grant was fully involved in Mesa and very active in community service. And some highlights include that he was a member of the Mesa Rotary Club for 30 years. He was the Red Cross chairman for 5 years. He was a committee member for the Mesa Centennial Celebration and a committee member for the Our Town Book. He was a founding member of the Mesa Historical Society, and he was also an actor, which was news to me, and appeared in several plays with the Mesa Little Theater.
Our grandfather became the postmaster of Mesa in 1941. Helen, his 7-year-old daughter, was disappointed when she found out that he would not be delivering mail on a bicycle. But in his true fashion, he did walk or ride a bike to work. He loved being in this post office on McDonald Street, which was named after his grandfather, Alexander Finley McDonald, who was the first mayor of Mesa. Our grandpa was meticulous. At this time, packages were wrapped in brown paper and tied with strings, and if he noticed a poorly wrapped package, he would rewrap it. In a world before Amazon, packages were delivered by the post office. He would personally hand-deliver packages on Christmas Eve to make sure they arrived at their destination. When she was 7, his youngest daughter, Catherine, recalls that she loved to go to the post office on McDonald Street to knock on the postmaster's door because it made her feel important. Grant was also known for his beautiful handwriting and perfect signature. A postal inspector from the regional office came for a visit and asked to meet the secretary who signed the monthly reports. Grandpa stunned him when he told him that he was the one that signed the reports. During his 30 years as postmaster, our grandpa, Owen Grant McDonald, saw Mesa grow rapidly from a population of 8,000 to over 63,000. He was dedicated to his family, this city, and his work.
Some of my grandpa's hobbies included woodworking. Every home they lived in, he made sure to build a backyard swing for his daughters, and as his grandchildren, we benefited from the many toys that he would make for us. My grandpa loved baseball and stamp collecting, which isn't hard to see where that came from.
He was a wonderful gardener. He grew the best corn on the cob and fresh tomatoes, and he was famous for his homemade fresh peach ice cream. Grant and Mabel had an active social life with a wonderful circle of friends, and Grant was faithful in his church and a good friend to so many. When Mesa was 8,000 people, he knew everyone. Some characteristics that describe my grandpa is that he was fair, he was honest, he always finished a project, he was meticulous about doing his projects well, and he kept precise financial records. To conclude, we thought it was appropriate to share some of the words my grandpa spoke at his retirement speech in November of 1971. Quote, "My deep feeling for the people of Mesa and for the city of Mesa have influenced my performance as postmaster. I grew up feeling that Mesa was the best place in the world to live, and I wanted to keep it that way. I still do. I hope all of us are concerned with the quality of life available to us in whatever community we live, and are willing to contribute our time and talents to maintain and improve the desirable aspects of our communities." End quote. Thank you to the City of Mesa for honoring our grandpa, Owen Grant McDonald. He truly loved this city.
Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us, all the family members. Thank you for being here. It was such a pleasure when you reached out to us and told us about that you had so much information that you wanted to share, and we are very pleased with that. Our next speaker is the council member who represents the downtown Mesa. So we're pleased to hear from Councilmember Jen Duff. Councilmember.
Good morning, good morning. Before I start my remarks, I would just like to take a moment to recognize Lorena Austin, our state representative, has joined us. So thank you for coming, Lorena. She lives in downtown and is my neighbor, and it's wonderful to have her at our events here in downtown. What I love about the repurposing of this post office is where it's situated right in the middle of our downtown. You know, between Center and Country Club, and right in the middle of our downtown. And it is, listening to the stories this morning, it feels like a living room, right? We're listening to stories of our past and the people we know, and we're gathered together as a community. Many of us, most all of us know each other, right? And it just fills my heart with gratitude that this building is being repurposed as a community meeting place, a place to create new memories and celebrations and events. As downtown continues to grow, it's thousands of living spaces, and we have new restaurants and breweries and so many wonderful places, and we're having more and more people join in our community. One of the things I worry about or think about is what I value so much in Mesa, and especially our downtown, is our sense of community. It's very, very strong. And even though I may not know you personally, I can talk about our place and what we can do together to improve it. But as we're growing so rapidly, how do we keep that intact? How do we keep that sense of our community alive and growing together and finding that sense of place? And having a community space like this to come together, to make those celebrations, to have those events, is creating those new memories going forward. And I think it's even more fitting as way back when I was a kid, maybe when the mayor remembers too, and some of us, that the only way to communicate with other people or to get in touch with other people was through the post office. We didn't have internet, we didn't have email, and long distance telephone calls, they were very expensive, they were very brief. So we sent letters. And the post office, the postman coming to your mailbox and being able to have that letter from someone that you loved. I lived in Japan for a while, and having those letters, because airmail was the only way for me to communicate for home, so meaningful for me. So now in the 21st century, where it's more fitting that we have a place to come together, right? This the Post is still a place to come together where we're connecting with other people. I know I tire of my digital boxes. I know it's a necessary means to get business done, and our social posts to communicate, which is going wild and out of control. But the Post is the place where we can be in person and share and create new memories as we go forward. I had some notes here, but I was just so inspired by everything that I was hearing here. Let me check for just a second if I left something else out. I think, other than that, I'd just like to say thank you for everybody that made this come together. We have a long history of it trying to be so many things, and people have really cared about this building, so it's only fitting that it's come together as a community space. So thank you for all for believing in this space for so many years. All the people who've worked on this project, the GH2, the architects, phenomenal job. And the voters for believing in this space and supporting this so we could do this remarkable work. So now we don't have to wait a minute longer, Mr. Postman, or Mr. Mayor. We can cut that ribbon, but of course we want to hear from you first. Thank you.
All right, we're almost there. Now this man that we're going to introduce next has a real connection to this facility. So we're really excited to have the mayor with us, Mayor John Giles. And once he's completed his remarks, we're going to invite all our speakers and the city council to come up and help us cut the ribbon. And then we want to invite everybody into the space. Don't go too far. We got to do a really special video presentation. We always imagine, and maybe where you're standing now, you can't quite see the sign for the Post, but we're very proud of that sign. And so instead of having everybody go stand in the middle of McDonald and Main, we have a video presentation of the lighting of that sign. So we want to invite you in for that. And so we'll go from there. Mayor.
Thank you. In some ways, I always hate being the last speaker because everything that needs to be said has been said. But I do want to underline just a few things, and particularly I want to underline the spirit of what Councilmember Duff shared a moment ago. We have this challenge in Mesa of being an old city and a new city at the same time, and having this desire and this priority to maintain the character of our community that is what provokes us to continue to live here and what has attracted us to come here. The word I was thinking of when Jen was describing that character that we want to protect is, I think we've had Mesa feels like a family. It's a diverse family. It's a quirky family. We've got some weird uncles, that show up for Thanksgiving dinner that have got neckties that shouldn't be worn in public. But we love them, right? And they're part of our family. And there's a saying that I'm fond of, which is success has many parents, failure is an orphan, right? And unfortunately for decades, this building was an orphan. Maybe Vic and Ron and Dennis, would still cared. But it was hard to find anyone who would advocate for this building. But I dare say today, if we interviewed everyone here, you're all parents for this. Everybody's got a story, and I think everybody feels a great sense of accomplishment today. That man, it happened. We're not going to have to continue to plead and beg and point out what an asset this is in our community, and let's just. It's too cool a building, as Vic and Ron have said many times, but we don't care what you do with it. Do something with it, right? Because it needs to be reborn. I love that we're taking a moment to look backwards into Mesa's history. The fact that Postmaster McDonald was one of the founding members of the Mesa Historical Society back in the 1920s or 30s, it might be some indication that this is not a new city. We've got a very rich history, and one that we need to celebrate and that we need to invest in and be proud of. That's my history as well. I was 10 years old. I was born and raised in Mesa, in what's now the Benedictine University, believe it or not. And my family home was just on the other side of University. So throughout I have wonderful memories, crystal clear memories of holding my mother's hand and walking through that door to come to the post office. Because before there was email, there was mail. I don't know if a lot of us remember what that was, but as Mr. Brady's and others have described, and Jen, that we would wait for the postman to come to our house, because that's when our connection to the outside world occurred. And if we needed to connect to the outside world, we would come through those doors and stand in line. And I mean, you just can't overstate how important a post office was to any city, but particularly to a city like Mesa, Arizona, dating back decades and decades ago. It's wonderful to see that be alive again. I still have, and the other half of the building, the federal building, I have very clear memories of when I turned 12 years old, I was eligible to get a Social Security card and to join the workforce. And that's the door that I walked in when I was 12 years old to get my Social Security card. But enough about me. I just want you to know that we have lots of reasons to be very, very proud of this building. As Mr. Brady and others have indicated, it's kind of vanilla exterior. In some ways has caused it to kind of become a little invisible to us over the last few decades as we've walked by it. But I'm excited for the future of this building as well. We're not just looking backwards. I'm excited that future generations of Masons, my children and grandchildren and beyond, will have memories tied to this building. After all is said and done, I love the purpose of this building that we've arrived at, which is to be a meeting place, a gathering place for all of our community. This is where our family events and our business events and our school events and our church events, we want them here. Because we want, again, to celebrate what Mesa has always been, but we also want to acknowledge, and I firmly believe this, that Mesa's best days are ahead of us. And I'm excited to live in a community that acknowledges that, and that has a historic, character-filled downtown, as well as Apple, Google, Facebook, all of the exciting economic opportunities that a growing and world-class city has as well. So I'll just say welcome to this family reunion. All of the parents that are here to give rebirth to this amazing facility, and let's make sure the future generations of Masons continue to have a soft spot in their heart for this amazing building. Thank you for making it happen.
All right, so let's invite all our speakers and the council. What do you think? They should probably go up the ramp and come in behind. So please stand up and then come up this ramp and get behind the ribbon here. And then once they've cut the ribbon, we want all of you to come on into the building, and then we have a video presentation of the lighting of the post sign, and then certainly we want you to come and explore the building inside. Thank you.
Kevin, we can go up. Kevin, how about step? Let's just do it up here. Okay, all right. We're going to do it up on top. That's great. Okay. One of those. Hold that. You hold that. Hold that. Okay. Let's bring it back up. They were prefer to be laid down right here.
Well, that way you can see her. So maybe we stay.
Okay, we're back to plan B.
Okay.
So we're going to line up right here.
Are you going to hold it? You want to get the picture?
delay.
The bow in the middle.
It's right in there.
Okay.
You guys need to get down on the ribbon.
Yes.
You can stand on the ground.
Are we good? Center. Careful with the hands. Can we move it this way? Yes. Rena, you want to come up?
Let's get
That's okay.
Ellen in the front there. Right side.
No, it was a pop.
At least you want to be on the
You ran a few laps around. Yeah.
Just put it right here.
Go ahead.
Brady, come down and be right here.
Come down.
Oh, perfect. There we go. There we go.
We're glad you're here.
Sorry.
You're good. No, step right up and put your hand on there. The mayor's going to have you to hold on it. Somebody's got to hold it tight.
Okay, are we here? All right, let's take all the pictures we can.
Lily, what do you want us to do?
Got it? Okay. Everybody, hope take a lot of pictures. Spread this. Let's make this go viral. Okay. Let's send this to everybody you know. And we're going to do a countdown, and we'll start at 5 in just a few minutes. Okay.
Please, out of the way. Remember, the post is something worth posting about, all right?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Post about the post.
Hashtag the post. There we go. Okay, let's do from 5. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, come on inside.
During history and